Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome to the second video of Monday. This one is going to go over the Spotlight or Spotlights two-part video. First part is Sam Wilson Captain America and also some things that look good. We're also going to be looking at footage from the deep dive as well, putting it into it. So yeah, let's kind of like have a look at this as soon as possible. The champion being a tech champion is great because it just adds more to the tech line, and we've had a big problem with not having so many techs in the past, so this is good. Adds one more to it. As well as having armor, auto block, power drain, and rupture. Great to have power drain, great to have armor, as it does open up some possibilities of interaction, and also rupture, which is not one of the more common debuffs. It's kind of like a newer thing that Kabam have put in the last, say, year or so, and it's good to see some more dot debuffs. And also straight off the bat, cannot critical hit is actually a good thing. Having a lot of champion-based interaction with champions that say Ebony Maw, which has been a massive frustration with having miss, but also having the fact that if you hit with a, I think it's hit with a critical, there's definitely some instances where I believe some champions, if you hit them with a critical attack, which I think it's, is it Invisible Woman, I think we're getting confused with, but definitely having that interaction of not being able to critical can be great for certain interactions, very kind of niche fights. So on the face of it, the champion can be great at interacting with Havok because it has an armor up buff. And also with the amount of time that it's there, you know, that's great. Just don't, you know, lose it, because it will be a problem with that plasma detonation. But also being an interaction with some of the abilities to take on miss mechanic champions, that is going to be fantastic. I also like this new mechanic in place where it's defense against specials, where he can have this auto block triggers parry when special damage with cowardice passive, and he has a chance to auto block special attacks, which is cool. It adds more to the champion, more kind of unique things. So this is really good. Bulwark, when the buff is active, not only does his block proficiency increase, but his opponents have minus 100% ability actually when hitting Captain America's block. This allows him to bypass nodes that punish parry. Great. So that's going to be for some fun interaction. Definitely a long list of things I want to test this champion up against, like Havok, interactions, as said here, where it would punish parry. You know, there's going to be like tons of interesting things of interaction. The name of the game with the champion is armor ups. Armor ups help for so many different things. They're kind of like, not like a currency, but they're kind of like helpful to kind of do things here. Like 10% chance per armor up effect to auto block incoming special attacks by up to 75%. So defensive elements to that. Each armor buff reduces the opponent's bleed ability actually by 25%. So handy against those particular interactions. And then what else we got? Auto block counts as well-timed block and removes all personal armor ups. Auto block chance is also increased by 25% per prowess effect on the opponent. This chance is capped 100% while the opponent has prowess. So there's lots of different interactions there with armor up, but it goes a little bit further on with that, especially when you're doing various different things. The thing that interested me the most was, well, what is the Falcon comparison? Because essentially it's like, it's still the Falcon based suit, it's just he's got a Captain America shield. Well, this time dodging back and holding block for 1.2 seconds inflicts a lock on charge for 16 seconds, but pauses on his specials. Once locked on, he goes on cooldown for 12 seconds. As a defender, Cap inflicts a lock on charge for 16 seconds anyway. When entering lock on, Cap passively inflicts a cowardice on for the duration of lock on. Duration special attacks, reducing special attacks attack rating by 40%. While locked on, Cap gains 900 critical rating and his attacks cannot miss. That is great for certain interactions, especially when we're looking at going up against Ebony Maw, going up against champions where, you know, Ghost, Kitty Pryde, ones that essentially have that miss mechanic within them. Differences with this, you don't need a buff in order to do that, like the True Accuracy, I want to say, or is it True Strike? I want to say, I'll go with True Strike, or no, Vigilance, that's what it is. Man, there'd be so many buffs. So that's, you know, Professor X as well, anything that would do a falter, Super Scroll. So it's good to have another example of an interaction champion that can take on enemies. Nice, I like it. And striking the opponent while locked on pauses, sap charges for 5 seconds. Also that bit of interaction, say, on the on the block, which is at times, I'm just trying to think of like, there's one node where you get power gain. There's so many nodes in this game. There's one node where if you get hit into the block, you get power gain. I can't for the life of me remember what it is. But if that's something that interacts with these particular nodes, then as Dev noted, the piece of utility allows Cap America to avoid many quest nodes that punish blocking attacks. So I don't know if that will be also something that deals with invade. I'm gonna have a long list of stuff that like invade. We've got to test. Man, there's so many. As it increases block proficiency when you do a heavy or intercept, and that's 15 seconds. While this buff is active, opponents have minus 100% ability actually when hitting Cap America's block, and that's consuming an armor up buff. So again, I said it's like treating it like a currency. It's kind of like a currency. Now, when it comes to like scaling up and getting the damage, I'm not 100% sure if this is down to physical vulnerability debuff, and that's where you punch and you crunch with damage. Definitely, if you look at some of the deep dives, especially looking on screen right here with the volume of armor up buffs that then get kind of absorbed, you are definitely seeing like a great amount of damage. I mean, this example right here that's on screen against Deadpool, there seems to be a good flurry of damage. It's not super substantial. I mean, it's substantial enough, but it's just getting an idea of like, okay, where the damage lies. And will the SP3, would that be the better rotation round? Is it best to kind of go like, okay, well, let's do SP3, build that critical rating that you get off that, and then you're able to like have much more potential to kind of do damage on ruptures, because that's the big thing, because there's no crit. But anytime you would crit, you turn that into a rupture. Is that where you're doing that extent of damage, and is that the kind of the rotation? Is it a case that you're hitting into the block? And again, that's helping towards doing the rotation of aggression damage. On the face of it, it's just a case of like, do you see that? Do you rotate around SP3s? Is that the main way to kind of see the extent of damage? And as I said, on screen right now, we're having a look at to see like, okay, well, is this from the deep dive? Is this showcasing the greatest amount of damage possible? But this is where an awakened version may come into it, because the signature ability is all about doing ruptures on instances where you're inflicting ruptures from special attack 2 through blocks. So that also increases the attack rating, so your damage potential is increased by doing that. I'm not a massive fan of that idea of rotation, just a personal preference, but I'm sure people will be interested in kind of being aggressive, especially through the blocks, to do what you can do to do as many ruptures as possible, which obviously is part of the kit. So maybe it looks like an SP1 rotation may be the better option, especially if you're looking for physical vulnerability debuff and rotating around that to kind of like keep up damage potential. So that could be the best way to do it. As the developer says here, physical vulnerability substantially increases Captain America's damage from his ruptures. Keeping his ability up for as long as possible is a key aspect to maximize his damage output potential. This means if you've got a champion that is, if this champion is on Suicide Masteries, then it could make it difficult, because what you're doing is theoretically throwing SP1s multiple times. It could be a bit of a frustration where SP3 would kind of slow down that kind of damage output process, but you could have Suicide Masteries for your trouble, so it would be interesting to test that out. This is where I think personally there's going to be a real decent synergy to check out. I mean, there are a few decent synergies, but this one here, which is on your left, I mean, first of all, what it's going to do for Sam Wilson Captain America is add some opportunities for buffs. There's also one with hashtag Avengers, which equally looks good. If you're looking to stack up your Fury, stack up buffs, then it's going to mean for some great damage potential. And more buffs as well means it's an option for buffed up, especially if you have some weird interactions. This is going to be really positive, as well as for Captain America Infinity War as well. But Sam Wilson, man, it's going to be pretty decent. So yeah, that consistency of the on your left synergy is pretty nice. But also White Wolf, if you're looking to make some really kind of like quick early on damage at the start of the fight, gain the following buffs, or last in 10 seconds. Fury buff, granting 800 attack rating, precision buff, cruelty buff, and yeah, so precision, and then cruelty and fury. So yeah, like that kind of like adds something to it. But I don't know if it's going to be like a great synergy, because it only lasts for 10 seconds. So having Nick Fury, maybe something else could, or maybe something that kind of increases buff duration could be really helpful. More so if you kind of pair it with something like, I think it's the Aegon synergy, where you're able to increase the duration of buffs. I think that's maybe the one I'm thinking of. In any case, there's some stuff for Winter Soldier, which is nice, which allows him at a certain attacks have percentage chance equal to number of the combo meter to gain a true strike buff. Handy, extra utility. And then some of the others are relatively helpful, but we'll probably break them down in future videos as well. And Ant-Man, each hit special one was 100% chance to place a fatigue oh god, right, there's nothing really too major with that. But in any case, like, it does look like to be a very positive champion. I'm pretty excited with what I've seen. I think more so because it adds options to take on different content, and that's just the thing, having something to deal with the miss mechanic in some champion abilities. Having the armor up buff consistent means that there are some extra options to deal with situations. Buffed up, taking on Guillotine 2099, taking on champions that would have the miss, which is very important, especially going into certain content, but also adding some more elements of, okay, well, maybe dealing with invade. Lots of things to test out from. Really excited actually to test it out in different areas. And that's really been a video. Thank you very much for watching. What are your thoughts on Captain America Sam Wilson, especially from what you've seen? Are you more excited for Synergies? What's your thoughts? Comment section down below. I appreciate you for watching this video, and I'll make sure as well to check out some other content located on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be. Cheers everybody, have a good one, bye bye.